Sophie Cunningham was flat out targeted by a dirty player. Can continue to survive these things. Here you see Sophie Cunningham laid out on the floor, holding her knee. The lady was in tears, crying as Lexi Hull approached her to help her.
Immediately, first, look at this. Instantly into the game. Instantly. Immediately. They had a target to hurt Sophie. She was targeted by this team.
Caitlin Clark and Sophie Cunningham just made a shocking announcement that has the whole WNBA shaking. Sophie went down with a brutal knee injury after Bria Hartley crashed into her, and her family is furious.
Watch out for Bria Hartley because she's a dirty-ass player.
The same nightmare that sidelined Clark is now happening to Sophie and fans. Can't bear to see it.
This is Hartley right here coming in.
Slide over right there, and Hartley just kind of falls
and she crushes in on the knee of Sophie right here.
She went down.
Just sums up everything. Like, we weren't going to win this game if Sophie Cunningham was healthy. This isn't like, oh, we lost because of a Sophie Cunningham injury. We were down 17 points when she got injured. This happens.
The Indiana Fever are living through an actual horror movie of a season. Forget popcorn. You need therapy sessions just to sit through their games. People are calling it a season from hell. And honestly, that's being polite. Every single week, it feels like this team invents a new way to embarrass themselves. And the WNBA just sits back like a babysitter scrolling Instagram while the house burns down.
And it looked like Stephanie White is extremely emotional after this hard-fought game. Sophie Cunningham family is extremely pissed off.
And now we've hit the lowest of the lows because Sophie Cunningham's knee just got destroyed in broad daylight. And the whole thing feels less like basketball and more like a demolition derby. This wasn't just another little ankle tweak or a bruise. This was Sophie on the floor in tears, clutching her leg after Bria Hartley plowed into her knee like she was trying to sack a quarterback.
It's just emotional, guys. I'm hella mad. Hartley needs to be suspended on a major level completely. Probably at this point, she's more dirtier than Dejanay Carrington.
And here's the best part. The Fever were already down 17 points when it happened. 17. They were already getting slapped around like a JV team. And then their toughest player, the one actually showing some backbone, gets taken out. If that doesn't sum up season from hell, I don't know what does.
They wanted to hurt Sophie. They made it their business to hurt Sophie. And that's exactly what they did, was hurt Sophie. And I'm hella mad.
The scene was bad enough that even Sophie's family jumped online and torched the league. Fans flooded social media dragging the WNBA for letting this circus run without rules. You had people asking, how is it possible that in a professional league star players are dropping like flies every week, and the officials still act like they're officiating a pickup game at the YMCA? Sophie's sister Lindsay straight up told the league they should stop worrying about finding players for comments and start actually protecting the athletes.
Sophie's sister Lindsay and her mom Paula. At WNBA, maybe you should focus less on fining players for commenting on your poor officiating and more about hiring officials that are able to call a consistent game, protect your athletes.
Her mom Paula chimed in too, blasting H. Hartley as a player with issues everywhere she goes. You can tell when the family is that vocal that they've just hit the end of the rope. And then you've got Caitlin Clark still sitting out sidelined for 13 straight games, looming in the background of this mess. People are literally asking if she should even bother coming back this year. And honestly, with this disaster show the Fever are putting on, why would she?
And Sophie's mother, Paula. Hartley is a disgruntled player having trouble everywhere she goes. She's playing mean and plays out of control.
But let's zoom in on Sophie's injury because that was the spark that lit this bonfire. The play looked like something ripped straight out of a blooper reel, except it wasn't funny at all. Hartley drove in, collided directly with Sophie's leg, and Sophie immediately grabbed her patella, her kneecap.
It's a patella injury. Normally people will hold higher in their knee if it's a knee ligament injury. It looks like she might have either ruptured her patella.
That's the moment every fan watching got that sinking feeling. It didn't scream ACL, but it had the stench of a patella rupture or fracture. And anyone who's watched sports knows that's basically a one-way ticket to see you next season. Analysts said there's close to a 0% chance she returns this year. 0. Imagine that. Your best spark of energy, your mid-season engine erased in seconds.
Sophie did not deserve any of that happened to her today, and it is very, very unfortunate, man.
And the cherry on top, this wasn't Sophie's first rodeo with injuries this season. No. She's had not one but two major injuries this year. And guess what? Both of them were against the Connecticut Sun. Well, at some point that stops being coincidence and starts looking like a pattern, doesn't it? You get the sense the basketball gods themselves are just pointing at the Fever and saying, you're cursed. And the family outrage makes total sense because Sophie had been the Fever's best midseason addition.
Sophie Cunningham out for the year. How can this team continue to survive? We bring in Ari McDonald because of injuries. And who would have thought? Caitlin Clark would be out most of the year. Sophie Cunningham will have a season-ending injury.
She wasn't just another player in the rotation. She was defense. She was intensity. She was the one hyping up Caitlin Clark when nobody else on the roster would even try to stand up for her. And now that's all gone. And here's where things really go off the rails. Because if you thought Sophie's injury was just an unfortunate accident, let's talk about Bria Hartley, the WNBA's very own villain of the year. I mean, if the league had trading cards, Hartley's card would come with a warning label.
I told you guys this girl was a dirty player. And that's all she did today was show how dirty she is. This is unfortunate. I don't know how the Indiana Fever
reputation is so bad that fans literally predicted this was coming. This isn't a one-off. This is a highlight reel of chaos. Earlier this year, she yanked Angel Reese by her ponytail like it was WWE SmackDown. Just days before Sophie went down, she pulled Becca Allen by the head and slammed her to the floor. Multiple ejections, countless cheap shots. It's like she's building a resume for the Dirtiest Player Alive award. She is a dirty
player. She pulled Angel Reese out of air by her ponytail. Angel Reese is ready to fight. Just last game, I think 2 days ago.
Critics aren't just throwing shade. They're flat out saying Hartley targets players. That she goes out of her way to end people's careers. And after what we just saw happen to Sophie, are we really supposed to say they're wrong? This is a player who comes in with a reputation dirtier than a gas station bathroom. And then Sophie Cunningham's knee explodes after direct contact with her. How many coincidences do we need before we call it what it is? Broadcasters have already labeled her the dirtiest player in the league, putting her right alongside Dayani Carrington. And fans are convinced Sophie was targeted. Her family, they're not even dancing around it. They straight up said Hartley plays out of control.
I don't know if it's her knee. I don't know if it's her Achilles, the way she was kind of dragging her foot. I don't know. But Bria Hartley has had dirty plays all season. But you got to know who we're talking about.
Now let's pause and ask the obvious. Where the hell is the WNBA in all this? Where are the suspensions? Where's the accountability? When your league is losing stars left and right, the one thing you absolutely need to do is protect the ones still standing. Instead, we've got a situation where people are actually calling for a civil rights investigation into officiating culture. A civil rights investigation in a basketball league. That's how ridiculous this has gotten. Fans aren't just mad, they're disgusted. They see a league where dangerous plays are shrugged off, where dirty players run wild, and where the officials couldn't control a church league game if their lives depended on it.
Reality, because she is somebody's daughter, she is somebody's sister, and this is just unfortunate. And those of you who don't think a civil rights investigation need to be brought upon this league is tripping. This civil rights investigation.
And that's what makes Sophie's injury so much bigger than just another player going down. It's not just about her. It's about the fact that the WNBA has created an environment where this was inevitable. Where a player with Hartley's rap sheet can keep playing week after week with no real punishment. Where Sophie Cunningham, who was the one person willing to scrap for Caitlin Clark and bring intensity to the Fever, ends up crying on the hardwood while the refs stare into space. And all this happens while the Fever were already trailing by 17 points. Already proving once again that this team is allergic to playing good basketball.
Do you think the refs called any fouls? No, they didn't. These refs are clowns. These referees are clowns.
Solid numbers, but nowhere near dominant. And when your team is a dumpster fire, solid doesn't cut it. Natasha Howard chipped in with 18 points and 9 rebounds. But again, and then there was Lexi Hall, who hit one big dagger 3 and grabbed a clutch rebound late, which sounds nice until you remember the other 90% of the game where she was invisible offensively. At the end of the day, the box score looks decent, but the game told the truth. It was Mitchell or bust.
Lexi Hull hit a big three that was the dagger at the end. Aaliyah Boston, 7 of 13, 14 points, 13 boards, a double-double there, added 5 assists.
The final score, 99-93 in overtime, tells you everything you need to know. Yes, it goes in the win column, but does anyone actually feel like they won? The Fever barely scraped past one of the weakest teams in the league, needed extra time to do it, and lost Sophie Cunningham in the process. That's not a win, that's a bargain where the receipt comes with a warning label. The team may have survived the night, but it feels like something way bigger died out there.
In the beginning of this game, Sophie Cunningham is bringing the ball up the floor. She gets mugged, hit upside the head, knocked to the floor while dribbling the ball up the floor, 75 feet away from the rim.
And while everyone was cheering Mitchell, the real shadow hanging over this mess is Caitlin Clark. The so-called savior of the league has played only 12 or 13 games all season, which means she's missed over 75% of the year. Think about that. The WNBA's most hyped rookie ever. The face plastered on every billboard. The player networks can't stop drooling over has barely been on the court. Stephanie White tries to act optimistic, hinting she might return before the season ends. But at this point, who even believes that? The question isn't whether she can come back, it's whether she should.
Kathy Engelberg, wake the hell up. Half of your league is hurt now. Who would have thought? How do the Indiana Fever? Bria Hartley, you are a dirty, low-down dog of a player, you.
And let's not forget the lawsuits. Caitlin Clark already has legal action tied to her name. And now there's serious talk of Sophie Cunningham joining the party. When players and families are this openly furious when the league is constantly under fire for safety and officiating, you know something's rotten. People are even accusing Commissioner Kathy Engelbert of letting rugby and UFC sneak into women's basketball. And honestly, they're not wrong, because when half the league stars are injured and nobody's being protected, this doesn't look like basketball anymore. It looks like a demolition derby with sneakers.
Wonder why there's so many goddamn injuries all over the league, because you are allowing people to play rugby and football and do UFC moves in the middle of a basketball game.
Fans are losing faith. Playoff hopes are fading. And the trust in this league is on life support. You can only ignore the obvious for so long before it bites you in the face. Sophie's gone. Caitlin's barely played. The Fever are falling apart. And the WNBA is sitting at the edge of a cliff. The only question now is whether Caitlin Clark decides to risk herself for this train wreck, or if she stays on the sidelines and lets the league deal with the wreckage it created. The Fever season is hanging by a thread, and the WNBA can't hide from this chaos any longer. What do you think? Can Caitlin Clark save this wreck, or is it game over? Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more breakdowns just like this.